Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thanks for taking some time to talk to us. Last time I talked to you, you were talking about, you have name recognition, especially in Democratic circles, Democratic voters. Your opponent, James Talarico, announced today that he's airing an ad during the Super Bowl in the Houston market and then statewide. And some have asked me, so I'll ask you directly. They've seen Talerico everywhere, and they're saying they're not seeing Jasmine Crockett. Is that intentional?
Well, I don't know that it's intentional, and I don't know how accurate it is. I think that donors want you to be respectful and smart with their dollars, especially as people are struggling in this economy. And when you've got small dollar donors like I do, $5 and $10, they don't want you just wasting money. And frankly, the reason that Mr. Talarico has to spend I think at this point he's probably up to $6 million that he's spent in this primary is because, like I've told you before, we do have very high name ID as well as branding. And he's attempting to introduce himself to Texans because while he's been elected for a longer amount of time, he's not been at the forefront of these fights, and Texans don't know who he is.
Do you think with early voting, let's just say about 2 weeks away, will you be getting up on the airways, or are you focused on your ground game and sticking to your gut?
It is all of the above. We are following a more traditional stance of what it looks like to do GOTV. And I do want to remind people that I do have a job in DC in the Congress. And so I really have been focused on that as well. And I've been doing everything that I can to make sure that the people that elected me in Texas 30 know that I am not neglecting them whatsoever. So we did recently have 1 week of recess. We did record a commercial that will be going up. And we actually got started with our digital program here recently. So we will be everywhere that we need to be so that people know that early voting starts on February 17th and that we are absolutely seeking their support in this primary to go on and battle it out with whichever Republican ultimately emerges in May.
I know there were rumors that you were going to start an attack ad against Talerico, but today we saw a pro-Talarico PAC attacking you, saying, "quote If she wins, we lose." What is your response to that?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? There were some people that called this out, right? There's a couple of things about this that reek of hypocrisy. Number one, my opponent has kind of spent his entire campaign promoting this idea that he's going after big money in campaigns. Yet we know that he has been signaling, as it was laid out in the New York Times on yesterday, he has been signaling for about a month for those same big guys in dark money to get involved. And they decided to get involved and specifically attack me. I just want to be clear about something. You know, we laid out ads, they were going after this administration for what they're doing. That is what's been running. But if anybody knows anything about me, I am a fighter and I may not start the fight, but if you start a fight, just know that I always have a response and I usually finish the fight.
Congresswoman, one of my last questions I'll ask you. Earlier this week, former Congressman Colin Allred posted a video that, many didn't see coming. I personally have not seen that type of anger from him. He was visibly angered. What was your response to that? And have you talked to the former congressman since he endorsed you?
Yeah, I actually haven't talked to him on the phone. But just like you talked about the fact that he was angry, this is something we've never seen out of Colin Allred. In fact, I was in DC when everything unfolded, and I've spoken to so many of our colleagues that were truly shocked. I've talked to colleagues on the Senate side as well as the House side. And it speaks volumes to the veracity of the claims that were made by the young lady who kind of came forward about this. We all know that Colin Allred is a very calculated and thoughtful person, and for him to come out and come out in this way, I felt like he must have something that truly makes him believe in the truthfulness of the statements that were made. Ultimately, we know that the Talerico camp did release a statement that did not really deny it. They basically said, oh, she misinterpreted what we said when he talked about mediocrity. It doesn't quite make sense to me because you would say maybe I was looking at maybe a mediocre campaign instead of the Congresswoman's very ample campaign. Instead, what it was is it said, oh, the Congresswoman is an accomplished, successful Black woman, but supposedly, when we're talking about Colin Allred as the contrast, we're only talking about his campaign. Listen, I've done criminal defense long enough to know what I truly believe happened. And I think that this is going to be a potential problem for the Talerico camp. I think, number one, Mr. Talerico has struggled with getting Black voters behind his candidacy. I think that this may deepen some of those issues, especially since it was a Black woman who then had her account almost immediately taken down. It was suspended. Seemingly another kind of thing that we see out of the Republican playbook, right? Like silence those that say bad things about you. Now, granted, she ended up having her account restored. It seemingly was more so because of all of the online folk that came to her rescue. I think that this is a problem. I think that when you're looking at electability in a general election, there is no way to actually get through with any Democrat anywhere without kind of having strong support from the Black base. So we will see. I did put out a statement in that moment, and my statement was really more so highlighting Colin Allred as an accomplished man. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, black, white, yellow. He is an accomplished man, and I think that the idea of using mediocrity at all was probably not the best way to phrase that, but it seems like there was a level of comfortability because this particular influencer supported Mr. Talarico over Colin Allred, and seemingly was still with Mr. Talarico, even in the moments that he was having conversations as it relates to me. And we do know that a lot of Mr. Talarico's surrogates have either overtly or in a more subtle way try to basically not focus on the issues, not focus on my record, not focus on my credentials, but instead have challenged my electability around things such as me being a Black woman. And we've not really seen much denouncement of that. So, we'll see. At the end of the day, this comes down to the voters and the voters getting to decide who is it that you believe will focus on you and who is it that you believe will allow for certain things. And in a majority minority state, I think that voters would want to know that they have a candidate that they truly believe will be respected, whether it's out front or behind closed doors, as it relates to who they are.
Congresswoman, thank you for your time.